Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the all new Asics Novablast 3 Trail Edition, looking nice and muddy with all the testing we've been putting in this shoe. So sit back, relax, let's get this review done. So it's great to have you back on the channel for another review video. The Asics Novablast 3, the regular edition, one of my absolute favourite shoes of the year. Well in for the running for maybe my best shoe of the year. Stay tuned for that video, the best running shoes coming up in December. But for now, we're going to have a chat about this trail edition and we'll talk about the similarities and differences between that shoe as well. So we get stuck into the facts and figures, chat about my likes, my dislikes, and who is this shoe for, most importantly, and then the conclusion at the end. So feel free to move your mouse around. So before we get stuck into the facts and figures, let's have a chat about the differences. Well, essentially they are exactly the same shoe, apart from on the Trail Edition, they've added this AHAR outsole, and we'll chat about that later on. But essentially everything else on the shoe is exactly the same. Just looking at the back here, there's a slightly different stitching at the back here with this heel lock as well. But yeah, essentially the same foams, the same shoe, the same upper, the same everything. And the final difference between the two is with that extra outsole, this one is a little bit heavier. For me, 30 grams extra. For most people that don't have size 12 feet, around about 20 grams heavier. Do you notice that? Very, very slightly, but not too much. Right, let's get stuck into the facts and figures. So the facts and figures. Well, this shoe cost me £135. Of course, I bought this 100% with my own money. In terms of stack heights, 31 at the back, 23 at the front, which gives an 8mm drop overall. So this shoe was coming in for me at 318 grams. The regular shoe, 288, so about 30 grams heavier. The midsole is this Flight Foam Blast Plus, again the same as the regular shoe, super soft, responsive. Asics are marketing this as a light trail shoe. There's no carbon plate in this shoe, there are no different widths available. Right, let's get stuck into the positives. The first one being is the Flight Foam Blast Plus. Midsole in this shoe, super responsive. Still on the lightweight side of things. Again, in the outgoing, not the outgoing shoe, in the regular 3 shoe, I've done about 100 miles in this and it still feels super poppy. Just brings a smile to your face every time you lace it up and go out for a run. My second like in this shoe is obviously this newfound grip. This shoe was useless in any sort of wet weather, sliding around all over the place. But with this extra grip on the shoe, on the roads, feels really nice. An absolute joy to be running, gives you so much confidence. I've been running out in the rain. It's been terrible weather here in the UK recently. But on some light trails, but especially on that road, that asphalt, where there's some wet leaves, just as we get here in the UK in the winter, haven't slipped at all. And my third like here is the upper. Now, we'll come on to this in the negatives because I wish they would have done this slightly differently. But as this shoe stands, it's really easy to get a good solid lockdown, no hot spots, no blisters. There's quite a stiff heel counter on the back of the shoe here, but so much padding all around that, no issues with the Achilles. Right, let's get stuck into the negatives. 2 points to get through here. First one being is, this really is not a trail shoe. Fundamentally, the grip is nowhere near good enough to be out on the trails. I'd love to see some multi-directional lugs on the bottom of there to cope with muddy conditions that you're going to get in the UK at this most of the time, quite frankly. There's no protective elements. There's nothing at the front of the shoe to stop you bashing rocks. There's no plate in the shoe to protect from rocks underneath. So really, there's nothing in this shoe to indicate it is a trail shoe. The stack height is quite high for a trail shoe as well. Again, it's identical to the regular road version. It's a little bit unstable in some of the sort of trail conditions we've tested it. Saying that, if you're just running on some very light trails and you're not worried about stabbing your foot on some rocks and things like that, it's fine, the grip is okay. For me, Asics really should have called this like an all-weather shoe, added some slightly water repellent mesh, a bit like Nike do with the Nike Shield, and just have it as that wet weather shoe you can take out in all conditions on the roads, because that's where this shoe really is excelling. And my second dislike is I just have some quality control issues on this shoe here, on the right shoe. The tongue is just not long enough. On my regular shoes and on the left shoe as well, I've got a normal length tongue and can get a nice lockdown fit. but on this one it just came in really short, just a bit of quality control there that wasn't spotted out the factory. And yeah, that's today's question of the day, is have you had some shoes that just are different on one pair, one side and the other? Can you spot some things of manufacturing flaws that haven't been picked up? Unfortunately, I didn't really spot that straight away and just went straight out charging onto the trails, and now they're completely mucky and I can't send these back. But yeah, just a thing to point out. It's quite rare, but let us know if it's happened to you. So should you buy the trail version or the regular version, or not at all and give them a miss? Well, basically I'd say if you're going to be running on some wet roads here in the UK winter, this is a fantastic shoe to take out. The grip on this is really not good enough. So if you're going to do something like park runs where it's mostly on tarmac with maybe a little bit of trail, some wet leaves to get around, this shoe will look after you really, really well. If you're lucky to have some summer climates out at the moment, then get this. This is just a little bit lighter, a little bit snappier, but just don't take this anywhere near some wet roads. Both shoes very much recommended. Right guys, that wraps up the review. Hope your running is going well. We're gonna have some proper trail shoes coming up on the channel for a next review, with Kilian's new normal shoe dropping today. We're gonna be taking it out for some proper testing very soon. So stay tuned for that. Keep on working hard guys, keep on getting it done, and we'll see you for another review very soon in the next one.